Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Gail's guests are Tanaath and Drake Bailey. As always, you may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This could be another wild ride.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, and I am just absolutely delighted today. We have a treat. We have Tanaath here and Drake both at the same time. So that's going to be fun and interesting, and we'll see what everybody's take is on the current situation in the country of the U.S. So, Drake, say hi.
Hi.
And Tanaath.
Hi.
You're hooking hi. Okay. Well, that's pretty simple. Well, Drake, why don't we, you want to start, or should we start with Tanaath? Either one. How about a galactic update? Who wants to do that?
I'll let Tath do that.
Well, I don't know that I have much to update. It seems that, we don't interfere with elections ever. And I know the elections are kind of what's on everybody's mind right now.
Yes.
Basically, what the only thing we would have done in that whole situation is try to make any interference obvious. And I'm thinking that we're probably not the only ones, because there was interference and it was quite obvious. So well, I guess it'll remain to be seen exactly how this is going to play out. I am keeping a close eye on the proceeds. So
Sidney Paul said, release the Kraken.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like the coons got in the trash cans again.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the fraud is incredible. There's no doubt about that. And that is on everybody's mind now. I guarantee it.
Well, what you might note that is interesting is that as soon as Biden was doing well, all of a sudden there were no more riots.
Yeah, interesting that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you want to add the icing on that cake. As soon as Trump just started winning again, we got riots. I wonder whose political horse high. Oh, and by the way, I support and read a thing called Judicial Watch.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Judicial Watch has proof that Soros and a bunch of others are involved in all of this, and that Black Lives Matter are getting their marching orders from the certain members of the squad, So you can expect a couple of things to happen in it. Hopefully they will come to be. Right now, there are a good probability, and that is the fact that many of these people that have decided that they can do what they want with the United States are going to find themselves in a cooler. At least that's what I'm hearing.
Is that synonymous with a jail cell?
Take that from an anonymous source that I got from high levels.
Awesome. Well, I heard it was funny because remember when the video went out last time, we did a show and we were talking about the servers. Well, they confiscated the servers in Germany where the Dominion software was doing all kinds of things. And
what was funny was that came out in mainstream media. It was only Fox News, but that's good enough for me.
Fox News lately, I've been seeing them on a gravestone because they went south, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did anyone ever honestly think that Rupert Murdoch's empire could be a good thing?
No.
I mean, think about that for a moment.
Yeah,
the man is an inveterate globalist.
Yeah, that's what this is really up against. We're up against the globalists and the ones that are supporting Biden. That's exactly what they're headed for. Yeah, I used to have a pair of glasses like that.
These are
for the computer.
These are tactical glasses, and one of the things they do is limit the frequency range of blue, which
Blue
is
light.
detrimental, irrespective of what some people think, is detrimental to your eyesight. And I have spent time on the computer sometimes, too much time, and come out of there with a big square, computer screen, like you flashed a flash bulb in somebody's eye. Well, this is a big square one. I couldn't see dilly squat.
Well, the glasses that I have on are special too. They actually came with this little blue light tester, and they work. They affect the blue light. So
now, did you notice any posts on Cosmic Voice lately? They kind of sum some things up. Darren Skeen put one out along with some others about platforms. Parler equals Twitter, MeWe equals Facebook, Rumble equals YouTube. DuckDuckGo is a Google search. Brave is secure search. Telegram.
Good, that's what I use. I use Brave.
Newsman equals Fox. Newsmax. I'm sorry.
Newsmax instead of Fox.
Yeah.
Wait, run that by one more time, Derek. Go through that one more time.
All of them? Okay. Parler equals Twitter. MeWe equals Facebook. Rumble equals YouTube. DuckDuckGo equals Google search. Brave equals secure search. Telegram equals secure messaging. Newsmax equals Fox.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I do use Brave, but I'll tell people another search engine that you can use besides Brave. Actually, Brave isn't a search engine. It's more.
I don't know how it all works. I'm not a tech.
I'm not that techie either, but SwissCow.com is a good search engine. It sounds crazy, but it's a good search engine.
Well, the things I'm seeing is I have reports from people. They don't like Parler that well, but it's a lot better than Twitter because they don't censor a whole lot of things. MeWe doesn't censor anything unless it's really stupid. Rumble on YouTube does not mess with uploads. And let's see here, DuckDuckGo got purchased by Google, and now it's the new Google search. I was using it for a long time. I'm gonna switch to Brave because Brave is secure search, Telegram secure messaging, and Newsmax equals Fox. So now you got it 3 times.
I've been using DuckDuckGo and I hadn't heard that. Time for me to switch, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Brave is the one that's supposed to replace DuckDuckGo. It's supposed to be secure. By that I mean that I posted something on in our private group, Cosmic Voice, and it was only up there for a few hours. I went back to look through the posts and whatnot, see if I could start some stuff, and it had been removed. So, and that came from Yahoo News. So, they're not even honoring their own people.
Yeah, I've got I haven't been to Rumble yet as far as a replacement for YouTube, because YouTube is being a royal pain in the butt.
Well, try Rumble. I hear it's simpler than YouTube and a lot cleaner.
Well, that's interesting. I'll take a look at it. Have you heard of Utah Gun Exchange Tube?
Yes.
That one seems pretty good too. I mean, it doesn't look like it's censored at all.
That's because a lot of the gunners are in that. They're kind of like me, live in the woods with too many guns kind of thing.
I thought you might like that one. just from the name alone.
Yeah, well.
But anyway.
I'm partial to guns. I really do enjoy them. I know what they're good for. You can get food with them. And if things get a little too funky, you can always defend yourself.
Oh my gosh. I just read something about that. I knew it. I just absolutely. Dominion was used in Arizona too. Yeah, they were never going to convince me that Arizona was a Democratic state. No way, Jose.
Well, guess what? Dominion got raked over the coals on a legal basis for screwing with the election, and they are known or famous for adjusting results and things of that nature. So now you know what they do. And guess what? I will see whether or not a friend of mine has the sufficient funds, and we will see about putting together honest vote and see what people think of that. We'll have our own servers secured here in the U.S. And not subject to a bunch of horse hockey from people that think they're cute.
Well, it's my understanding that they're just eliminating the vote. I mean, they can tell which ballots were official.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that watermark thing.
Yeah.
And any of the states that had dominion because they were, important in terms of electoral college votes, that their people, whoever hired and bought the program, was obviously aware of what the software program was going to be used for and purchased it anyway.
Hello, Democrats.
Yeah, I would say they're in trouble. And the Secretary of State here in Arizona says that she literally hates Trump.
Oh my.
So, I can't imagine why. But anyway, shall we move on? Is there anything that you can add to that at all, Drake or Tanaath? Any Tanaath?
There's a lot of security procedures nobody knows about, and the only people that have got the machines capable of reading that watermark is the United States military. That's why the military got changed recently, in order to not support Trump, like everybody's saying, but to support the military being clean. They got a ways to go yet, but they're working on it.
Oh, so they did get rid of a few people.
Oh, they took the top right off the right off the Pentagon.
And
replaced like 8-10 people, from what I heard.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you could refrain from tapping the fingers things, I've had people complain about that. It's kind of distracting. Okay. Okay.
Yes, I'll do
that. Okay.
I haven't heard anything specific about that. What my contacts upstairs told me, and have repeated several times with a bit of a snicker, is that Joe Biden will never be president of the United States of America.
That makes sense to me. I couldn't agree more. And I did say before all this happened that I felt that Mr. Trump was going to win by a landslide. And then all of a sudden everything changed, and I'm going, what the heck happened? I can't believe this. And then it was proven what happened. He did win with a landslide. It just will be brought out here pretty soon.
It's real simple. Political crooks got in a woodpile and screwed it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Better yet, they did it in a way that's fully traceable.
Yeah, everything's traceable. That's the thing. Those watermarks were pretty amazing, but they were expecting them to cheat right out the gate. That's why all the traps were set up, and they've been walking into every single one of them. But there were two other software programs involved as well, and I can't remember the name. I know one was a scorecard, but there's another one too, and I can't remember what the name of that one was. Anyway, we can go through a few. I have some questions. This was a question specifically for Tanaath.
Okay.
Imagine that.
What is happening when humans spontaneously combust? I don't know where that came from, but that's
yeah, I don't really have a lot of information on spontaneous human combustion. The reading that I did in my youth indicated that more often than not, it was a case of somebody, a smoker falling asleep with their cigarette, and then
catching on fire.
Yeah, catching on fire. Just a second. I don't know if you can hear my partner. She's playing a game, and I need to.
That's fine.
Oh no, it's not coming through my mic. Okay.
No, I
don't hear it now. Here's the deal. Spontaneous combustion that I researched and talked to some people about is literally an outside entity, not you, not the individual, outside entity doing it. And whatever it takes to accomplish that, is what they do. They don't care how painful it is to burn up.
Why would they do that, though? I mean, what would the purpose be?
Oh, you can use that as one of those mysteries of the cosmos that's liable to afflict you if you decide to take an adverse view of things. Ooh. In other words, don't vote Republican. You might catch on fire. You know,
I don't think anybody's been spontaneously combusting lately.
No. A lot of those people have been relegated to Gaga land, let's say. They don't want to fool with people like Tanaath and I, or the Silver Legion, or a few other cohorts we have in common.
Well, have you guys been on any missions lately?
I'm not at liberty to discuss.
Okay. I was going to say that. I thought you can talk about.
We have some ongoing things that we're working on, but yeah, we're still working with or dealing with Inner Earth.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that some more, a little bit anyway. What about Telos? Is that? Are they?
It's just one of many cities down there.
Are they
they're
bad
not
guys?
working with us. Well, we'll put it this way: the ones that were bad guys are no longer in service.
Oops.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't want any bad guys. We got enough problems on the surface with bad guys.
Yeah, an ultimatum was delivered. Basically, there was a lead follower, get out of the way sort of thing delivered, and so far it seems that most of those who have made an exit did so in an orderly fashion and weren't playing any games when they did so, and that'll serve them in good stead. They might actually not go extinct, so yeah.
I love your word choice, Tanaath. Extinct. I heard it was more like kablooey.
Oh, it's a bit bigger than just kablooey. Here's the thing. We are reaching a juncture where your orientation to things largely decides whether you're going to make it through what's coming intact, or whether you're going to be a footnote in the annals of creation. And those who are putting out their energies towards dominating others and conquering others, or forcing others to
comply.
Yeah, to comply or to do their bidding, are largely going to, well, they won't be around much longer. We'll put it that way. The more you put out in that direction, the more of yourself you erode. Not only do you lose what you put out, but you lose in proportion to what you put out.
Wow, well, that's good news to me.
There are some species that'll probably be completely deleting themselves. And now what's important to understand about this is not something any person or group is doing to them. This is something that is essentially it's a natural wave of sorts. It can't be stopped. It can't even really be delayed in any meaningful way. And yeah, you can't bargain with it. You can't convince it to leave you alone. It's a natural function. Like, you can't argue with the tide. Dam it up a little, but sooner or later it's going to roll you over, and it's going to take a chunk out of whatever you put out to try to stop it. So yeah.
Is this that quantum wave?
Yeah, the quantum wave. To those
So if I see one of these things and shoot it, is it going to come back on me?
You can't shoot a quantum wave.
I'm not talking about the quantum wave. I'm talking about these dingleberries that think they're in charge, that live upstairs. They're all superior and all that happy whatever.
Well, go ahead and do what you like to them. Just be careful. I would recommend that you take steps that are defensive oriented and for building up the freedom of everyone, because those are neutral. The wave is neutral to those.
Well, I don't advocate violence, and I don't advocate. Well, there are some that should be shot. We have here. Certain politicians need to have a wound in their posterior, so every time they sit down, they remember something about it and why they shouldn't do that stuff. That's the sort of, But other than that, I try not to get too far into it anymore, because I want to see where that wave. I want to see the wave act like a tsunami on the bad guys. That's
Yeah,
going.
that's
I'm
going to
gonna
be
just.
interesting.
I'm gonna
It's gonna be
celebrate.
interesting.
So is it by what you're saying, does that mean that it's like increasing in velocity or size
It's
or anything like
getting
that?
it's getting closer. I mean,
Oh.
people who are paying attention have probably noticed that there's quite a bit of time anomalies going on, and that well, there's an increase in strangeness and novelty going on. So that's to be entirely expected.
So I should put the stopper in the drain if I start seeing ghosties coming up out of it. Is that what you just said?
Some people have been experiencing dreams indicating that some massive change is on the horizon.
Yeah.
Is that what everybody's referring to? Because a lot of people are saying that they feel like something's coming. They feel like something's coming.
Yeah, and there's been people who've been picking up on this for multiple years, and it's starting to reach a point where it's pretty undeniable. People refer to it sometimes as the event, but most of the people who talk about the event have really no clue what they're talking about. They think it means that the event is when something's going to happen, and the ETs are going to swoop down, and or Jesus is going to return, or all kinds of stuff. No, those are not the events. Those are things that may happen within the framework of a quantum collapse, but the event itself is a quantum collapse. And the thing about this stuff is that you can't really predict it. And the one thing that tends to remain constant is that well, it ain't usually what anyone expects. It tends to be a bit of a mess.
So have you experienced or seen a quantum collapse in the past, or how do you know this? Let me ask you that. And for those of people that maybe didn't see the previous show when you talked about the quantum collapse, maybe it would be good if you could explain it again.
I have seen them before, never
thought.
this big.
Uh-oh.
This one has been something like 28 universe generations brewing. That's probably the biggest one I've ever seen. Usually they're a lot smaller scale.
Well, it's changed the orbit of a bunch of our planetary system, and in terms of that, the time references involved in all of that I've noted. Talked to Tanaath about that, so we'll see. I mean, I'm getting strange sensations like I can fly, and I ain't jumped off the roof yet. So we'll see how this goes.
That's funny that you said that, Drake, because the other day I was thinking of something similar to that.
All of the things that are going on, people describe and whatnot in terms of sensation and experiences and whatnot, more than likely, I'm not going to say absolutely, because I didn't put the wave together, so I don't really know those intimate details. However, the majority of people will experience a whole bunch of the same fun and games that people are describing on Facebook or the internet somewhere.
Well, what happened to me anyway, what I was thinking at the time was, you remember some of those moves that guy made on The Matrix?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where he's flipping over or doing all these different things. That's what I was thinking about doing.
Well, a lot of people don't realize is that the movie The Matrix, in its
a documentary, right?
Well, no, in its core expression is very simple. You make your reality as you perceive yourself fitting into it, and the whole thing fitting into a greater complex, let's say, and that gets into a whole bunch of fun and games.
Wow. Okay, here's a question for you, Drake. How long will QAnon be with us? Do you know? If you know,
that person has already been outed, and The problem is that they don't have the that particular person does not have. Well, let me rephrase
I
this.
thought it was more than one
Anonymous
person.
was out,
It's a team.
not
Yeah.
QAnon. QAnon is a contactee and gets information because they are a high level at their own personal high level as well as upstairs.
I was under the
And how
impression it
long?
was more than one individual.
Well, there's Q and then there's QAnon,
Yeah.
and they're different things.
Yeah. So which one are you talking about then, Drake?
QAnon.
QAnon.
Yeah.
Isn't that a group of people? You're saying no, it's just one.
Well, I am a. Let me explain this. I am a Q. So you want to get into the what a Q really is? That's a long study.
Oh, okay. I just remember stories on Star Trek. That's all. As far as knowing that one. But anyway,
that is pretty much what the ideology of a true Q is, and that is to maintain the continuum.
okay.
Supposedly. I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not. Can't tell. You don't know. Well, you don't know until you start seeing results. It's like this quantum wave. How big is it? What does it do? What's it composed of? How does it work? I mean, you're not gonna, unless somebody knows three-dimensional quantum physics. Hey, you ain't gonna have a clue. Pretty simple. There's maybe 3 or 4 of us on the planet that understand that stuff.
Well,
And
quantum is
growing and getting bigger.
And are you able to actually visually see this?
Yeah.
Right? You can visually see it.
It's really weird.
Does it go, like a wavy pattern or what?
Oh, Lord, no, it's more or less a
straight pattern.
Self-perpetuating
Snowball? No.
quit it. self-perpetuating wave crest in both directions at the same time and expanding as it goes.
Yep.
The more it's there, the more prolific it becomes until such time as I'm going to suggest, and I don't know if Tanaath is aware of all this, but I'm going to suggest that there was once a war in a faraway place, and what they used were the planetary forces all combined into one specific energy burst. And they were blasting planets and solar systems out of existence until somebody came in and says, you got a choice. Either stand in front of the gun or quit it. And so they decided to quit it. That was the end of one of the, I don't know if it was big or not, but one of the galactic wars that I was witness to when I was a kid. These things, think about something that is all pervasive. In other words, it is not only infiltrating or penetrating everything, it's also an integral part of everything. So the penetration won't be noticed in terms of it going through something or going into something, but the changes coming out on the other side can be tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Wild.
Okay. And so, okay, it's expanding.
Bigger and bigger.
Around or whatever, bigger and bigger. What happens when it just all collapses?
It won't.
Everything and anything.
It doesn't quite do that. It in its oh boy, using the Matrix, the movie as an example, it doesn't really ever complete. Okay, it will disperse into everything so that the effect is permanent, including people and whatever. So you don't really have a stoppage of it. You rather have a completion of its mission.
Oh, okay. So
I'm trying to be non-descriptive and non-detailed about it because I've been asked not to do that.
Well, was this way created by someone or something?
No.
Or
Well,
Silver Legion.
something. And no, the Silver Legion did not create this.
Aw.
This was generated.
You mean you're not guilty?
This isn't the hand of any like.
I'm
Nobody
sorry,
woke up one morning and said, okay, let's have a quantum wave. Like, what happened here is that there was an event that happened, and the shock wave from that event a very long time ago then generated this down the line.
Oh, and then apparently we're aware that it eventually was going to be within
and now it's visiting.
in our area of the galaxy, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's more than the galaxy. The entire
is.
universe is affected by this
Oh, the entire
Yeah.
universe. Wow. Okay.
galaxy. And not only this universe, but others, right? Like,
Holy smokes! What the heck happened that caused that big of a wave to come through?
something attempted to kill the multiverse.
Yeah.
And the strike that occurred generated the antidote to its own when
Wow.
that happened, it generated its own counter.
Wow, that's fascinating, to say the least. Holy smokes! Well, anyway, back to that's amazing. Okay, back to the things that are going on now. I recently read, I don't know if either of you heard about it, but there's a Dr. Reiner Fullmec in Germany, who's an attorney, is planning on suing all the people that were involved in the COVID fiasco. Ooh, maybe I'm not supposed to say that word. I don't know. But anyway, and the PCR test, and actually trying to bring some justice.
I'm trying to get rid of the hoax.
Yeah, thank you. That's a quick way of putting it. Yeah. Based on that, here's another question. Many countries in Europe are going into a second lockdown and curfew. Will the swamp get arrested in Europe during the second lockdown, or will the lockdown be used by the Alliance for their advantage?
Boy, that's up to the people, more probably than not. If enough of the right people push it hard enough, then we'll drain the swamp globally. If not, it'll take a little while.
Well, what about right here in the United States instead of in Europe? We haven't got a second lockdown yet that I'm aware of. I don't know if some other
You
government.
won't have one. You won't have one. Everybody knows what it does, and it doesn't do any good, but to be used as an excuse for officials that have no clue as to what's going on or how to address the problem. Pretty simple. As I've said before, get you some tonic water and drink it. And then you won't have those troubles.
What we're really dealing with is, cold and flu, that's.
Yeah, kind of
Getting all panicky about it.
Kind of interesting how all of a sudden nobody's dying of the flu anymore.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That's like them invisible riots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so amazing how those riots, just when they thought Biden was winning, there weren't any riots. But as soon as that changed, everything got stirred up again. Funny.
Well, the thing that most people don't understand about bioweapons is very simple. And that is that when they develop something and they know it's effective, okay, they lock it up. Now, when I say lock it up, I'm talking about something that would take a nuclear weapon to open by force. You can't drop it and break it and the ooey gooey goes all over the floor. Don't work that way. Okay. And the very second thing that those biolabs do is come off with an antidote or antigen. So China has the antigen. I already found that out from sources I've got in China. So we'll see how the vaccine and treatment things and all that go.
You can't say that word.
What?
Treatment?
The vacuum. I call it a vacuum instead of the other word because they'll take us down. I can't put it up on YouTube. So call it a vacuum.
Do they
Okay.
pull you down for vacuums?
Yeah. It's just one of those algorithm words, from what I've
Yeah,
been told,
okay.
and I'm not that good because sometimes I just say it myself and I didn't mean to, but then it can cause problems. And I already have a warning on YouTube, and I've already just got out of Facebook jail, so I don't want to go back to jail.
Maybe we need to switch what we're doing over to a different platform.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to look into that Rumble. I'm not familiar with that one. I brand new tube. I started to use them, and I'm not that happy. It takes them about 3 days to put a video up. That's ridiculous.
I still
Mhm.
like BitShoot.
I have some problems with
BitShoot.
BitShoot. I don't know why, but they're not too bad. Sometimes the uploading can be a pain, but I do have I do have that a channel with them though. But anyway,
Who?
a
Huh?
channel with BitShoot. I got a channel with
Oh.
BitShoot too.
Oh.
I would just like to see these companies brought into line and make them stop what they've been doing, because it's illegal.
That's part of draining the swamp. Just wait and be patient.
It's coming.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another question. There is going to be a Supreme Court fight for election fraud, even if by a triple miracle this somehow fails. Isn't Obamagate, Hunter's laptop, or Joe's crime against children alone enough to lock him up?
Yes.
I would think so.
We have more than enough evidence to put these people away for life. And nobody has the guts or whatever it takes to get her done.
What are they afraid of? Somebody killing them or something like that? Or getting suicided?
Well, if you really want to know the truth of what all is going on, my suggestion to DOJ or whoever might be thinking or feeling like they're in charge would be to get that prosecutor over here into America, okay, under extreme guard, so that he can be put back home, and have him testify as to what he was going on, what he found and all that. Now, I can tell you that it takes a shop truck. You know what that is, two-wheeled cart with the handles. You put something heavy on it to move it around. That's how much information he's got. So I would like to bring him over. I'd like to bring him over and have him testify as to the horse hockey.
The one over in Ukraine?
Yes.
Okay.
You might as well do the laundry. I mean, put it on spin cycle. The hell with it.
Do you believe there will be an audit and a recount in California?
Yes. Won't amount to what they think it will, but
do you think it'll flip red?
Well, it's evidence to take down some more people. Okay.
Okay. Somebody's asking, how old are the plans for the New World Order? How long have they been around? Long
At
time,
least
huh?
a couple 100 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Try 12,000.
Yeah.
It started back about the same time that Egypt started raising its head. That's about 12,000 years ago, because there are about half a dozen tribes, give or take, who participated in the ideology of setting it up. And I'll use this loosely, bad ETs that influenced them, they set it up all right, gave certain people special powers and a whole bunch of fun and games. So figure somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 years. The other reason I say this is that upon the relinquishment of control, or I don't know what you'd call it, husbandry over planet Earth, about 12,500 years ago, there was a major global calamity. Everybody can look that up.
Okay.
The Cabal have been getting their marching orders from ETs and extra-dimensional entities since the time of Egypt. I would say that the active phase of bringing about what we have now was about 300 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it all depends on how far back you want to go and who you want to ultimately blame, or where you want to say what's the start of it, right? All this time they've been getting their marching orders from, well,
I guess
trolleys from outer space.
What boils down to is I don't care how
Reptilians.
long ago it got started. I just want it stopped. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that the wave will do, and the other thing that we can all give it a push with.
Okay. Who will Donald Trump tweet, "My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us" before Christmas? I mean, I don't know how
Unknown.
you're supposed to know that, but
Unknown. I'm not going to step on that one.
okay. I sometimes it amazes me the questions people ask, as if I don't know. But anyway,
Donald Trump doesn't talk with me, so I wouldn't know.
yeah, me either. Does he talk with you, Drake? I don't think so.
Yes, he
Not direct-
does.
Not
On
directly.
occasion.
Directly.
Directly. I haven't had the phone call yet, but we have been live on the internet discussing a few things.
Recently.
Most people don't know I have a direct line into most of the major powers on the planet. China, Russia, Ukraine, you name it. Just about every one of them, I have dealt with their leaders at one point or another about different things. They know me. They won't admit that, but they know me.
Okay.
I don't know that hillbilly in the woods. What are you talking about?
Who came up with the idea for an implantable RFID chip? Wasn't that Gates? I don't know. It could have been
Medical,
for him.
the medical society.
Yeah.
That's CDC, World Health Organization. All of them just thought that would be a great idea. Now, anybody, as you can think of it, has a agency alphabet attached to it.
The alphabet agencies, yeah, they're wonderful,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Lovely people. I know where I'd like to stick their RFID chip, but I can't say that on the air.
Oh, well. Yes.
And I want a big one, about 2 foot and square with rough edges.
Oh, this is an interesting question. Would a
Oh.
medbed fix your DNA and RNA if messed with by a coronavirus vaccine? If you know about the potential problems with that, why would you ever agree to taking it? But anyway, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah.
Medbed.
Depending on the device, depends on how far and to what extent each of the healing properties goes. In other words, you got greater and lesser med beds. You have some that only deal with certain forms of energy like waveform, when you also need to include things like light and sound. Well, a true med bed, I know somebody that used to build them. And a true med bed contains every form of the capability to influence an individual known. Okay. Electromagnetic radiation, which is waveform, light, which is actually a form of a radiation form, but the colors of light have varying different things that it does to you. Okay.
Yes.
And these things used full spectrum light. They used leaded glass, which is a natural form of glass found around volcanoes and like that. They also used music.
Well,
Bach,
music is
Brahms,
very
Beethoven.
therapy. Yeah.
Frequencies.
Yeah. They had a lady who had a sun porch, and she had plants out there. And she played really great classical music on a piano. And she noticed something funny. Usually plants will go for the light. They'll bend over and grow up out the window or whatever to get to the sun. In this case, they were growing toward the piano to get to the music.
That's fascinating. Well, I can say this was my grandparents had a dairy farm, and they always played classical music in the farm because the cows produce more milk that way, and we're happier too.
Yeah, and the milk tastes better.
Yeah, all those
And
good
the
things.
eggs go ahead.
Well, we didn't really answer if it would fix RNA and DNA, but I would think, could it take you back to your original blueprint is what I'm getting at.
The fundament, it's real simple. the fundamentals get reset. In other words, the basis for your DNA, the way it's supposed to be.
So your original blueprint basically is what you're saying, right? Will be repaired or restored or whatever. What about all that?
I don't know that. I don't think mankind has something intense enough to really do a transformation yet.
Mm-hmm. But what about, I thought we were supposed to get some of this technology that has been suppressed for eons released for the benefit of mankind.
I'm still waiting, and I'm getting older every day, and I don't like it much.
I don't either. I'm waiting for the anti-aging machine, but
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
probably dead by the time
Maybe,
it
hey,
comes.
Tath, you know someplace we could plug ourselves in and get some results? I mean, you know.
Unfortunately, I do not. If I did, I probably would already use it to fix myself.
That's why I was asking. I wanted to find out where you use that on that and all that.
Well, there is scalar energy waves, which apparently do quite a bit, but
And if you modify the waveform and adjust it so that it has the full compound wave, a lot of people screw that up, and then you can get somewhere pretty quick.
Okay, well, let's move on from that. When secret advanced technologies get released from the deep state and secret space program, what will replace cars, and when, and what kind of time frame are we looking at?
You want to talk about that, Tath?
Well, I have no idea about time frame, but I do know that in general, the kind of technology that you might expect to see would be moving to inertialist drives. So
What is that?
inertialist is basically the way it was explained to me by my contacts upstairs is that they changed the frame of reference of the vehicle so that it no longer is subject to gravity or g-forces or anything like that. It basically locks itself to a position and then moves itself there.
Wow. So
And travel, you got to remember something. Travel is instantaneous. It operates off of the intent and purpose of the individual driving. In other words,
that's what I was just going to ask you. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, when they get a clear picture of something on the other side of the our little bitty solar system or something like that, you're there. As soon as the picture clears up, you're there. Now, what you do with it after that, that's, you can go across the galaxy. That's 1,000 light years or some such.
Most people prefer to use something that, purpose made for galactic and intergalactic travel, right? Talking about little consumer vehicles and stuff, it probably, given humanity's enjoyment of the car shape, it'll probably be car shaped, but it will use inertialist driving or inertialist transport to just get around.
Hover cars.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine the way these people drive, turn them loose in the air. That just don't.
Well,
I want one that's armor plated. I don't trust them.
They are pretty resistant to crashing.
Yeah.
They know how to avoid each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty basic system that you put into it. And since it's not operating based on gravity and physics, conventional physics, it's operating based on a different frame of reference. You just write your frame of reference program to avoid hitting anything on the way, and it just janks around them. It's pretty straightforward.
Oh, Drake, I got a question for you. I've gotten several questions for you about when and can anyone expect this energy device you've spoke about several times?
Sometime in the next 3 weeks. I've already got everything together. I got to make about 3 or 4 experiments to find out what I'm dealing with totally. And then off and down the road I go. And when it's available, there's several things involved in it. And it's not expensive, but it's not real cheap either. The thing about it is, number one, no moving parts. That's first. And number two, it generates the electricity or power from dark energy, taps into that field. That means you got a battery that goes from here to the other side of the universe and back. Try and run that baby down.
There's certain energy that is given off by the planet that they used to capture, and we used to call them primitive. And the fact of the matter is, we don't know how to capture it, and they did many, many thousands of years ago. But anyway, I don't know what
Well,
kind
the
of energy
Egyptians
that
did it
is.
with the Egyptians did it with their light bulbs in the pyramids.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
exactly what I
Now,
was.
I'm doing something similar, only it's instead of being based on what they did, I'm basing it a little differently. That's all.
Oh, okay. So were they using dark energy too then? Is that what you're saying?
They were using a fringe form of it. Okay.
Okay. According to Cobra, the Draco fleet was recently defeated. Is that true? And if so, what are the implications of it? Tanaath, you might know about that one, or you, Drake, maybe you do. I don't know. Whoever wants to field that question.
Cobra's still around, is he? I take it. I haven't heard anything as such.
Okay.
It would also be which one, right? Like the Draco had a pretty sizable empire.
Are all Dracos bad?
No.
No, but you can operate under the assumption that any Draco you meet is. Unless they have proven to you otherwise through their actions and deeds.
Okay,
Watch
yeah,
'em.
well, actions
Devious.
indeed speak a lot. But okay. What kind of threat is posed by underground physical chimera, if that's how you say that, chimera spiders?
Negligible threat.
Yeah.
Okay. What are what's the story on them anyway? Do you have any explanation about that?
Go ahead, Tath.
Are they very big, or are they? I don't know.
It's one of many different things that were rooting around underground there. It's really nothing. Nothing in the inner sphere is really a problem anymore.
They're not going to come up and eat us or anything like that, right?
No.
That's probably what they were thinking. Okay. Anyway, will an incoming solar flash unlock DNA to 12 strands?
That sounds
Not-
like something. That sounds like something straight out of the New Age channelers.
Well, it's more than it's much
yeah,
more
it's-
than that. It's not just you got rumors, and then you have things that affect certain parts of the anatomy that people don't give the right connotation to, and this would be a bad case of rheumatoids.
I've heard the solar flash theory before, and
Keeps coming up.
yeah, I don't know if I give it that much credence.
Okay. Well, one of
I
the
will.
things that I've been told by someone else about channeling, that how do you, I mean, since the CIA has synthetic telepathy, how do you know if you're channeling who you think you're channeling, or are you channeling the CIA who is telling you what you want to hear?
Yep, that's a pretty good point. You know,
So,
they have that voice to skull technology,
Yeah.
and they've been using it. We have to use specific, essentially encrypted forms, so that we can't be easily either read or
right.
stuff like that, right?
There's also headgear you can get that's a modern version of a tinfoil hat. You just pull it on your head.
See, the problem with that kind of stuff is
Well,
that
you might
you
be
have
able
to
you might be able to
completely
charge it. I'm
you have to
sorry.
completely sorry. My partner is eating very hot noodles, and the fumes are making me cough.
Oh, wow. That's some hot stuff.
Oh yeah, it's Samyang 2X spicy. They are
Holy
I've had them
smokes.
before. They're delicious, but they're a bit wild.
They make you sneeze.
Yes. If you're going to use something like a Faraday cage around your skull, you're going to have to enclose the whole body with it, because, you know, leaving that great big gap where your face and your neck is going to be a place where actually the various forms of energies are concentrated and bounce around. Doesn't really work so well.
Well, they have
Just
entire
relax.
suits that I mean, they have shirts and, you know,
Yeah.
pants, the whole 9 yards you can get, and they're very pricey. But anyway.
Well, the Central Idiot Agency does not have a handle on this. They'd like to think they do, but they don't. And
I like that
they
one.
can't
I'm
even
gonna
make it
remember.
work for Christmas presents. I don't know what they're going to do if something real comes along.
Yeah, most people who are attempting to communicate with other beings are if you think of it in terms of encryption and stuff like that, they're using protocols that are open to anything.
Yeah, that's
And that's why it's not
an
trusted.
issue. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
The protocol I use is one that I have to initiate, so somebody can't just, you know, knock on my door and take a look-see, right? I have to be the one who initiates the handshake, and then the communication takes place over multiple bands or channels of data, which allows me to better lock in on who I'm talking to. I also don't receive anything unless I have initiated that, and I also make sure that I only communicate with those entities that I'm able to establish bona fides with and for. So
Yeah.
people that I know well. Harder for that to be faked. I don't see other people using much security at all in their communications efforts. They just sort of assume that if they receive something that it's legit.
And yeah, and that could be a serious problem.
Yeah.
Okay, a few shows ago, Drake said he was an ancient Egyptian priest in one of his past lives. What was he able to do and see with his third eye and other abilities in that capacity?
It ain't just that simple. The problem is that the Egyptian priesthood was using ET protocols that you have to have a direct DNA link to operate. Now that's and then if you want to get into it, being an incarnate makes a difference in all of that as well. I had certain capabilities before I was incarnated, and those have a tendency to amplify what a lot of people would be considering other areas of interest. The main problem everybody has is that there's no way that the Egyptians could discover on their own, at the rate that they discovered them, all of the combinational procedures that they initiated, to include general society, medicine, technology, and all that. You okay?
Okay. If you lower your vibrational frequency of your etheric body in an out-of-body state to the point of being physically visible, do you perceive your surroundings more physically, thus more accurately, and without reality fluctuations?
Yes and no. Depends on the individual.
Okay. When you're out of body, how do you create a cold spot for others to feel a sudden drop in temperature around them? I thought that was
That's
demonic.
usually an initiation of inverse energy, not necessarily something that somebody does. You have one kind of energy. It's like an ice cube. Ice cubes are neat. They're little square ice. You know, you get them in drinks and stuff. Well, if you got an ice cube, this is really going to screw your mind up. The ice is at a certain temperature, and they have proved this in physics classes all over the place. However, if you take a reading at a certain distance from the ice cube, it's colder than the ice. And if you go at a little bit different distance, it's hotter than everything. It's unbelievable, the mystery and imagination that can be found in physics.
Yeah, okay. Is it possible to shape shift from a human into an animal?
Yes.
Okay. If you shapeshift into a dog, do you still think like a human while you're a dog?
Yes, because your consciousness is still human.
Ah, okay.
Very much so.
Okay, that's interesting.
That,
Yeah,
mean,
'cause
that means if you're chasing a dog and a person and they change into a dog, you got a serious problem, because they have the same mental capacity that the people that are pursuing them have. Ooh, well,
Your
let's see. What would they
consciousness is not
have?
tied to your physical hardware.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can damage the receiver, right? Like you smack a radio around and it ain't gonna pick up the signal. But you're not the radio. You're the signal.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Who are the guardians of the planet, or the guardians of universe or galaxy or planet? Any
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who are the
Yeah.
guardians?
There's been numerous groups and entities who've made the claim, but proof's in the pudding, right?
Okay, I've heard of there being large, I don't know if they're wolf-like or dog-like beings that are guardians. Have you ever heard that one before?
I've heard it, but I haven't been able to validate that information.
Oh, okay.
I've heard a bunch of rumors about all that sort of thing as well. So unless you watch something from Hollywood, you might not see one.
Okay. Tanaath, this is a question for you. What is your update on Nibiru?
Nibiru has not been an issue for more than 2 decades.
Thank you. People still are stuck on that.
It's, okay, you know what? Stop trying to make Nibiru a thing. Nibiru is never going to be a thing.
Okay, good. All right, that takes care
They
of
are
that
a
question.
done deal.
Okay.
There goes the conspiracy theories. I can hear them going clunk on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happens is somebody catches a sight of one of the biospheres and thinks it's Nibiru. It's been happening for years. The Anunnaki got their asses kicked in a long time ago. They are not a concern anymore.
Well, they weren't very nice to us.
No, they
so-
weren't. And, you know, the last thing they said before we kicked their asses in here on planet Earth was, "We'll be back." So that got recorded, and everybody still thinks that they can make good on the threat. But no, they lost the capacity to make good on that threat a long time ago. They will indeed not be back. Good riddance.
Shucks.
Good. Okay. Okay, we're gonna get back to some of the geopolitical type questions here in
Boy.
this next bunch. We are having some doubts about President Trump being reelected via the election recounts and court decisions. This is never going to happen. But if Biden does become president, what will happen to the ET landings? Will they still occur? Biden can't be president. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's for question was for you, Drake.
ET landings don't exactly hinge on geopolitical happenings.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Good.
In other words, there's a timeline involved in terms of what they do, when they do it, the conditions here, and a bunch of other things that people don't understand how they fit, so they leave them out.
Where are we from a timeline standpoint, and how many timelines are there? Are we on one single timeline now, or are there a couple of them?
There's two or three things in that. One, we got to settle the geopolitical horse shit that's going on. The second thing is society in general is going to have to adjust themselves to where we are much less aggressive, in some ways, and much more oriented to not only being positive, but to the prime directive of do no harm. that includes each other, the planet, that animals, plant, the whole 9 yards. So until we start getting to that point, we'll have to wait and see. If we orient things the way I have seen them being oriented, we could get there pretty quick. And it's going to be a real mind blower to have very odd looking ETs going to the pizza shop.
Will the patents be released? The different patents on all the technology that's been kept from us?
Some.
Not
Only
all.
some. Yeah, well, see, it's kind of nice to know that somebody's got the patent on a bioweapon. I love that. Okay, that means that they're guilty of it.
Yeah,
And
that's-
I
whatever
think whoever was asking was thinking about, the more beneficial secret technologies.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
imagine
yeah.
those will be released. First, we have to pry the assholes out of their little nests and achieve some freedom, and then a lot of things can be released. But it also has to happen in a way where, people aren't trying to kill you for taking away their jobs.
Wow, it's nothing that can be rushed as fast as many of us would like it to, from all
Well,
appearances.
the things that I've seen and been told about and schooled on and whatnot, simply say one general thing. It's not that people are going to lose jobs necessarily, but that they have several pathways to go from whatever point in time that is. And it is very simply that they have to get their stuff together so that they can fit into the forces involved in finding that information out.
Okay, well, for example, will we be moving away from petrol fuel as a means of
Absolutely.
energy? I hope so. Okay, good.
In other words, what you're gonna end up with is the opportunity or option to get rid of your current energy producer, generator, whatever you want to call it, internal combustion engine in whatever fashion it's used, and this is the first step, to a fully self-generating, self-supporting electric motor. That's different than charging batteries and playing with this and that and the other thing. This is something that once you turn it on, it stays on. If you set the temperature to be such and such, that's what it is inside of it. If it's cold out, it warms it. If it's hot out, it cools.
Okay. What about Nasara Gasara? Will that proceed?
NESARA doesn't exist. It's part
Gasara,
of
then?
the global currency reset. And after the global currency reset, then we go to no currency at all. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I've heard very different things on that, but we'll see what happens, I guess. There's also one about that debt jubilee, but then there was talk that they were wanting people to totally sign off all their forever property rights. Not that they really have any now anyway, because they're a tenant. As soon as you register anything, they own it. So do you foresee that kind of thing changing?
Yes, it has to change. You cannot continually accrue debt, whether you're a country or a continent or an individual. Doesn't work that way. You cannot be a slave to something that doesn't even exist, which that's what debt is. It's a negative valuation. I don't know of anybody that is negatively valued. I haven't found that person yet. Yeah, and I'm talking about some of the nasty mothers out there. So what you're going to end up with is you're going to have to get away from that direct valuation. If your bank account isn't such and such, you're done. Well, horse hockey.
Yeah, well, what about this whole system that they created without full disclosure with our birth certificates and the bonds that were created and the trading on the markets and all that kind of thing? Is that going to go away?
Has to. No, the best minds on the planet, to include financial and mathematical, cannot understand what a credit default swap is. Don't make sense. That's because it was made up. It's sort of like a carbon bond. Ooh, you got a gas guzzler, you got to pay extra and all that happy crap. Well, no, you convert that old mother from a boat anchor into something updated. You put that new uh, power system in, and you don't have that problem anymore.
Well,
It's the same thing with economics. Economics is simple. We place an arbitrary value on whatever, paper money or gold or silver or some such, when the true value of it is only in what it can do when used correctly with the right technology. Simple.
well, that seems like they've created a means to be able to drain people of every penny they ever earn in one
Well,
manner,
that's what
shape, or form.
that's what the intent was.
Yeah.
Essentially, the whole intent of the financial system was to milk humanity until they had, quote unquote, legally acquired all real property and all actual productive anything, and could then dispossess all of humanity.
Why those
I
dirty
got-
rats?
I got a lot of ammunition that says otherwise.
Okay. I don't even go so far as to think this could happen. It says if Trump loses in the recounts, then how is it that the quantum voting system has him with 80% of the votes? He's not going to lose. He can't.
No, not according to present legal stature and standing. He's going to win. I think he's got 2 for sure and 2 more probables.
Yeah, I can't wait till they get to the truth of Arizona. I think there are some people who are going to be arrested here. But anyway, are there any plans to arrest old Joel?
Oh yeah.
I should hope so. It goes beyond just financial crimes.
You see, what everybody has to understand is all these situations are both flexible and in flux at the same time. You got to get to a determination before it quits being in flux. Then you have to make a determination as to how that fits all of the other things that are involved in it. It's complex. It's going to take a little while.
Okay, so somebody else says, where do we go from here? Is the dark really going to take over? I think it's just the opposite, isn't it?
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to create 3 days of darkness on the planet. I don't think you're going to turn off the internet and all this other happy stuff. They don't want everybody and their mother-in-law, along with their kids, bringing some kind of sharp object after them at City Hall or wherever. Turn it back on or we're going to tar feather you and hang you from the lampposts is what you're going to hear now.
You know what? I was thinking of a totally different concept as far as the 10 days of darkness. Or 3 days, however many days it takes. What if those were the revealing of the confessions and the dark things that have been done by people that will be arrested, executed, whatever, put in prison for life, you name it.
Well, that's simple. You grab the friggin' vampire and toss him out in the sunlight.
I mean, for people to see, because we have so many people asleep. You know, they don't.
That may
they don't
be part of the
believe.
Things are going to get as crazy as they have to for people to stop sleeping.
Well, that's something that would wake people up, unless they start saying that that's hokey monokey too. You never know. I guess some people just don't want to accept reality.
Not everybody's going to make it. That's okay.
Shucks.
It's one of those things where you kind of choose your own adventure, right?
Ooh.
That's true. We can't save everybody. They have to save themselves, don't they?
They have, yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. There's going to be some who, it doesn't matter how much truth you throw in their face, they're never going to budge. Well, the universe
Throw
has a way of
salt on
taking
their
care of
oats.
those.
Okay. This is another set of questions, okay, and it's and they said they for Drake or Tanaath, okay. It says, are aliens real?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's one of those, I gotta see it to believe it.
Don't worry, you'll get an opportunity sooner or later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if that's true, then when will they come out? That's the next question.
Who knows?
At the height of the skeptics' capabilities, they will one day come home in relatively close proximity to that particular time in their life and existence and find a big old freaking ET sitting on the porch in a lounge chair.
That might shock a few people, give them a heart attack
Oh,
or
boy.
something. So
At
when
some
will we get
point, it won't be a matter of belief. So, yeah.
when will we get the hell out of 3D? That's the next question.
Beats me. Time is flexible.
Okay.
It's sooner than I'm going to suggest. It could be a lot sooner than people think, for the simple fact that as we take care of this horse hockey going on with this geopolitics and society in general, as we start to rectify those things, then that time frame shortens dramatically. Okay.
Okay. Will we remember our past lives, all of them? I'm trying hard to remember mine, but I can't.
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
I
Some
did
people
what?
go to hypnotists in order to find out about that because they can't seem to pull it out themselves.
I would
did what?
skip hypnosis, to be honest. You know, you're putting your consciousness in somebody else's hands. You might find yours is trustworthy, but maybe not. You're also creating a precedent for the putting of your consciousness in somebody else's hands, and that isn't always a good idea.
That's interesting perspective. I personally never felt I could be hypnotized anyway, but that's just me. Because for those reasons, without even thinking about it, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Without putting it into those words. Okay. Next thing. Why doesn't Trump bring the aliens out now as if he has charge of them?
I imagine because it's probably not a strategically good idea.
Yeah.
well, they've already been out to an extent with that tall white standing next to his airplane.
They have had, people have been killed for that reason though, too, because they spoke about aliens. That's another thing. I don't know if people realize that, but why hasn't John F. K. Jr. come out?
It's all a matter of timing, from what I get. When the time's right, he'll go poof, and there he is.
Okay. Oh, this is a funny one. In 456D, what happens to your credit rating?
Well, it depends on if you are doing banking with species that still use those constructs, in which case,
Constructs.
you
Emphasizing constructs.
yeah,
Okay.
well, not everybody uses that crap out there, but some do, right?
Thank goodness.
There are, there are species that are like goblins and or Ferengi, and they still use those systems. And if you're doing business with them, then you'd better make good on your promises, or they're gonna do worse than kneecapping you, right?
Oh,
Hmm.
I heard they got some repo men that are scary.
That's what?
Repo men that are scary.
Yeah. But honestly, most people use barter systems. There's no arbitrary units of valuation for most civilizations, so credit doesn't really make sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's frequently abused. it's funny, a lot of places they won't report anything good that you do, but as soon as you don't pay something, they're right there with it, no matter what the circumstances were or whatever. Anyway, I'm not a fan of credit bureaus, and they're run by attorneys, and I have my issues with them as well. Although I'm sure there's some good ones somewhere. What's going to happen to the IRS?
Bye-bye.
I can't wait.
I imagine that we will see a complete revamping of human societies globally, and that many of the institutions that we are and systems that we are used to having in our lives will no longer exist. How long
That's what
that'll
I did.
take and exactly what it'll look like, it's hard to say from here. I know that everybody's got plans, but I'll settle for returning human life to human people so that they can determine their own existence and no longer are beholden to, fallacious structures that exist solely to milk them.
Sounds good to me.
What
That's the same
have
thing I'm hearing. So
here's a good one for you. What have you heard about the trucker strike? I think it's
I heard it was about ready to happen, and I heard that they were going to concentrate on DC. Now, that would be interesting if they get enough big rigs in DC. Ain't nothing going anywhere, and that includes your trains and your. I heard they're going to get to the airports and everything. So it's going to be. It'd be interesting to see if they can pull it off. I think it'd be fun.
Well, but doesn't it penalize the American people who really didn't have anything to do with this happening?
Well, now who occupies Washington D.C. and then ask that question again? You'll be all giggles. Exactly.
Okay.
So if you lock down Washington D.C., the Teamsters did that once a long time ago. They locked down the country, and at that point, not too long after that, Hoffa disappeared, among other things, and so everything got straightened out, and they were told, "Don't do that again, or you won't have it. It will lock you up." And I mean everybody. Well, in this case, you got a whole bunch of combination of independents and whatever, and they're going to go down. From what I heard, and I've been seeing the same thing on the internet, they're supposed to go down there and park on the bridges both ways, crosswise on both ends. They're supposed to do this just before rush hour so nobody can go home. They're going to block all of the train tracks. Whoops. You realize what kind of them. It's messy enough. I don't know if you've ever been in Washington, D.C. at rush hour, but it sucks badly. It's kind of like it's kind of like the 5 out there on the West Coast. I mean, you stay away from that, mother. Unless you can fly.
This same person wants to know, what exactly are the truckers protesting in the first place?
The horse hockey, the graft, greed, corruption.
Well, that's kind of general and has been going on for eons. So what's different now? I thought it had something to do with the fact that all the places that they try to stop at, they can't even get in at.
That's partial. There's a whole bunch of the issue list is rather long, but if they lock down Washington, D.C., that will send a message to all of these so-called I'm all that Democrats and whatever they may be, along with the administration we presently got. I can just see Trump laughing his butt off, sitting on the porch of the White House looking at the traffic.
I go, I told him I wanted it opened up.
Well,
because he did.
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me the amount of contempt these elites, not that they're very elite, have for the people who do the work to actually secure their existences.
Yeah, and
Talk
all they want to steal,
No.
all they want to do is steal from them.
Mm-hmm.
And can't appreciate them in any manner, shape, or
we
form,
need
and
to
do horrific
snatch
things
them
to
up.
their children. Yeah, I
We need to
agree
snatch them up and toss them in outhouse pits. That'll show them where the shit hits.
See, this is a common question, but we kind of already answered it, but you can take it over, you can answer again, Drake. It says, can you please ask Drake if he has ever heard of the global reset, and also if there has been any programs in getting rid of the de facto corporate government?
Yes, all three. It's a lot of what you're talking about will depend and hinge upon how intense it gets in terms of the geopolitical scene we've got here now, and the willingness of society to look to solutions rather than problems. In other words, causing no harm or screwing things up.
Okay. All right. What will happen if President Trump is declared the winner of the election and Antifa and BLM and other groups start major riots throughout America?
It's been suggested that they won't have very long in which to try those tricks.
I'll make it even worse. I heard the United States active military, along with all of the National Guard people, are going to come in and stomp out anything of that nature.
Okay. Well, basically, I don't know if they know that, but the people that are participating in that are promoting.
They've been told.
communism.
Never interrupt your enemy in the middle of making a mistake.
The art of war, right? Okay. Will there be every legal votes thrown out after recounts in every state? And would you say Trump won many more than 72 million votes?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they stole a lot from him.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Yeah. It wasn't just hundreds or thousands. It was
Millions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Two states have over 550,000 votes that Giuliani's already proved that were illegal.
Yeah,
And that definitely gives that gives two states back to Trump and takes them from Biden's column. So, you know, the addition and subtraction is going to be nasty.
Did you hear that they were going to make Biden a saint because he raised so many people from the dead?
I had heard that.
Take a postage stamp, apply it to his forehead, and send him to the Vatican if they think he's all that.
Well, that's where it was supposed to happen. Anyway, okay.
I may have to take up drinking again if this keeps up.
And will the exit polls of how well he won among Latinos, Blacks, independent voters, and suburban and Democratic voters who switched over really voted for Trump, will that be known at some point in time?
Yes.
Those watermark ballots are pretty thorough, aren't
Incriminating, let's say.
Okay. Let me see what else we got here. Has there been not just federal marshals, but state marshals, good guys and patriots in the CIA, FBI, ATF, DOJ, and U.S. military branches of every kind, the Pentagon and the DHS, even sheriffs, constitutional militias, and sheriffs? Would you say that there are good ones in there?
There's good
there's
everywhere.
yeah.
There's white hats and everything, but it's kind of like when you're dealing with the Draco, make them prove it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think that proof's going to come when they start taking actions.
Yeah.
There was something that young Pharaoh had said. I don't know if you're familiar with him a lot. He's very intelligent, but he swears a lot. But anyway, that's not important. One of the things he said, and I thought it was kind of interesting, is that, you know, when it comes to law enforcement, there's a lot of bad apples, okay? But one of the problems that, you know, he had said is that not only do you have the bad apples, but you have the so-called good apples who have been complicit with the bad apples. So they all should be retrained and rehired based on, you know, the oaths and retraining and that kind of thing. And it made a lot of sense to me.
No, I don't think so. Really, what they need to do is just eliminate the bad apples. You do that, and you can
But
make
how
some
do you
recommendations.
How do you determine is the thing, right?
yeah, and
You
how
know,
do you
short of
account-
having higher dimensional tech that can, or, you know, somebody who can sort through it and not be lied to or fooled in any
Yeah,
way.
Mhm. Yeah, and how can
there's
you
a lot.
justify covering up for somebody when you know what they did
Well,
was wrong?
hey, it's real simple. It's real simple. If you go to crash a door and it's some kind of criminal action that you're taking that these people need to be subject to, okay, it can get pretty funky if you end up like other cops have. They made a movie about one. He got stuck in the door and got shot in the head. His people didn't help him. They let him. They left him out twisting in the wind. Okay, you
Because
can't
he
have
opened his
that.
mouth, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He
That-
objected,
yeah.
so they decided to eliminate him. Well, the good guys are deathly afraid of that situation. They want to live, among other things. Okay,
Mhm.
when they realize that they outnumber the bad guys terribly, then the bad guys ain't going to stand a chance. And like Taz said, you need somebody that can't be subjected to anything in order to do this. I heard
It's
that
easy
was
to
coming.
get bribed, you know, a
Well,
bribe.
somebody said that was coming, and I'm not going to stipulate as to who. I wish they'd hurry up though.
No shit.
Yeah, really. Oh, we got a consensus on that one.
Put it on spin cycle and throw them in.
Would you say that things happening behind the scenes and the massive numbers of good guys making arrests is so huge and that will continue to be so?
I'm going to say yes, but you got to give the good guys the initiative to go ahead and do it. You have to be able to have them see the advantage of doing it. And they will pretty soon. There's some things coming that I ain't allowed to talk about.
Okay. This is an interesting question. Does Mother Earth take human body? And if so, what are the characteristics?
What?
Does Mother Earth ever take on a human body?
That's generally not, no. Anybody who's running around saying that they're Earth, no.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially if they're the wrong gender.
Okay. Greenland of giants, are they protectors of the gods, killers of the gods, or are they fake gods? All of them, the giants in Greenland that they found.
Go ahead, Tath. Step in it.
I don't know, this isn't really my bailiwick, but I would say they're probably not gods, though there have been plenty of ET groups that have pretended to be gods. That doesn't mean any of them actually were.
Mhm.
Among other things.
Okay. Some people have noticed chemtrails reappearing. What's that all about? Does
Trying to
anybody know?
dose us. That's
Pardon?
pretty much it. They're trying to dose us.
Oh,
Give you a dose of aluminum or
Barium,
whatever.
strontium, aluminum, etc., etc.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they
Depleted.
have not missed a thing, have they? I mean, they have done
No.
so much to poison us in every way. I mean, even our clothes. You know, a
Uh-huh.
lot of people don't consider that, but even our
Even your
clothes,
beds, even the bottles
the
that
bed sheets and
people
everything.
give to their babies, you know, everything's it's pretty
They've
dirty.
screwed it up.
Yep.
They need to be held accountable for all this crap.
God,
Mhm.
I wish so. I hope so.
And the reason it's not that it's generally bad, but that they know that it is. That's the part where you want to
Big
grab
part.
them by something that's tender and twist real hard.
Yeah, I just read something from somebody about one of the Rockefellers had said about how they would poison us and how they would, you know, in every way,
Mhm.
manner, shape, and form you could think of. And
Yep.
they have certainly done that. And they had no compassion or concern or care for humanity other than to use us as slaves.
Drop them in the outhouse pit.
Yeah, that would be a good place for them.
I bet they're about that.
Okay, so has there ever been any executive orders about stopping the chemtrailing, or
No.
no?
Two things have to happen. Number one, you're gonna have to shoot a couple of them down. That's not gonna be pretty. And number two is we have to tell the World Health Organization that if they don't cease and desist, we're gonna turn the Marines loose on their butts and see how they like that.
Turn
WHO's
Semper
the
Fi.
one doing the chemtrails. Okay.
Good. Okay. Oh, sometimes people have these big long stories I can't go through. What's going to happen during and after the quantum leap?
Quantum leap, you mean the transition?
Well, yeah, is it going to
Anything
be
and everything.
change to fourth
Yeah.
dimension on the planet? I mean, what about the governments?
What government? We're gonna have to go to a citizen and people only orientation, or you're gonna have problems like you have now eventually. So the situation is very simple. Everything, everything changes when whoever it is that flips the switch and turns us on from 3 to 4. I'm looking forward to it. That ought to be fun. I've always wanted to be able to make some of these clothing disappear while they were in public and see what they thought of that. There's certain people that would benefit by the embarrassment.
I know you're thinking about Nancy. No.
Ew. No one wants to see that.
Oh, how about Schumer? I mean,
Or Schiff.
Yeah, Schiff, the little round oof.
Oh,
Escaping from the Twilight Zone with his eyeballs bugging out.
okay. Where was Atlantis and what happened to it? Do we know exactly
ahead,
where it
Taz.
was?
I don't know where it was.
It sunk.
Off the coast of Cuba somewhere, I think. Don't know about that though. What happened to it was subjected to a long campaign of undermining from agents that infiltrated, and eventually things got so bad that the power system that they were using basically got disrupted, and the whole continent sank. They were using a distributing system using the roofs of their houses and all their buildings, which were coated in a element that you can no longer find on this planet. It was removed in its entirety. They've synthesized it. I believe that's probably technetium. They called it orichalcum, and basically they used that as an antenna to use their direct energy system, which is how they powered all their equipment and all their vehicles and things like that. And the whole system was sabotaged and became unstable, and it resulted in the destruction of the continent.
So they totally screwed up.
They didn't screw up. They were screwed up. They were sabotaged. They were infiltrated, and they were sabotaged from within. I mean, I don't know how much of a screw up. Yeah, I don't know how much of a screw up you can call it when somebody else is sending agents pretending to be you, and then
Good guys.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it's not really their fault directly.
No, but I mean, it's sort of like, what happened with the United States system of government. You guys
Yeah, look at how we got
yeah.
infiltrated. Yeah, really. And
This shit
things
has
got
been
changed.
going on a lot longer than people think.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
And back then, Earth was a 4D planet, and actually it was part of the disruption of consciousness that occurred with the fall of Atlantis that sent us back to the 3D.
That's what the fall was really all about, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now we get to climb the ladder again.
Okay, this is a fun question, so listen carefully. To the best of your knowledge, and we'll take a consensus here. Is autism related to vacuuming?
To vacuuming, not so much. To glyphosate, yeah. It has less to do with vacuuming and more to do with the things that you eat.
I would have to argue with that, Tanaath. But that's
Well,
Okay.
the aluminum in your vacuum are not good for anyone, and it's more the aluminum than anything else. I have mentioned this documentary before, but you should probably really watch Age of Aluminum.
Oh yeah, it's
which is
terrible. Aluminum is
yeah.
absolutely horrible, and
Yeah.
the brains of these children are loaded with it.
Autism is the result of a large number of attempts. Like you were saying earlier, like they swore to poison us every which way.
Mhm.
And it's not just your vacuums, it's also your the food you eat, it's also the stuff you smear all over your bodies, it's also the
Clothing even.
yeah, the clothing you wear and the pills you pop in your mouth, and most of the
Fluoride in the water, yeah.
over the counter medicines that you can take contain aluminum.
However, we have to bear in mind that the number of the vacuuming
Oh, it's
apparatus
excessive. Yeah, the number of vacuums a 6 months old
yes,
has to receive is completely excessive.
How to say that? Yeah, the numbers have just increased to a ridiculous.
And a lot of them
amount.
are for things that are inconveniences and not actual real threats. So
exactly, like the one in the when babies are first born, as if they were in the nursery having sex with each other and shooting up. So,
yeah,
I don't think
The lining in tinfoil cans. All the plastics known to man.
and aluminum cookware. Man, people, how long was it before people actually realized that? You know?
mm-hmm.
It'd be a long time. That's how they subjugated South America. They gave them, our government gave them aluminum cookware, tons of it.
Wow, I didn't know that one.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. Oh, diabolical, to say the least.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I had some surface-to-air missiles, we could shoot down some of them chem planes.
Yeah, no, I would like to.
I don't have too many of those lying in the old shed. What can I say?
No.
Trouble is, they probably wouldn't shoot them down because then they know that the planes would fall down on and hurt people. So then they go, "Oh, we can't do that." But
Okay.
But you could follow them to some place where there weren't that many people, if any. I would think.
We could have ET use a tractor beam and take them over to a place in the wilderness where there is nothing at all. Just drop their airplane.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, then it's called an attack by ET, and then all kinds of nasty stuff goes. Yeah, no, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't our Air Force escort them to Never Land?
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Take them over and let them fly into an active volcano. That works.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So if Trump is only serving 2 years, how will it be after that? And when are the medbeds coming? Care packages, replicators?
During that period, the medbeds and all that stuff come during that period of time. The reset, global reset of the constitutional republic we have to all parts of the world will be the deciding or definitive factor as to the length of service. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I've got a couple of questions specifically for Tanaath here.
All right. I'll shut up.
She says, please ask Tanaath these questions. Okay. My questions are, is it possible it was a dragon humanoid that I saw? Wait, I guess I have to read something first. Oh, I hate this. Okay. My awakening was in early 2017, and my whole world turned upside down, which I now know is perfectly normal. My awakening hit me like a bus with a lucid dream where I was met by a reptilian humanoid wearing a full body armor and a red cloak. He waited at a tree line off a dirt road by an old red barn. He didn't look at me directly, but I saw his profile because his hood was off his face. As soon as I looked at the underbush, I knew I was meant to walk into it as if there was an entrance. But my memory ends there, and I've asked this being directly Wait a minute. But my memory ends there. I've asked this being directly what he was because at the time I didn't even know reptilians existed. The answers I got was Naga. I didn't know what that was either, but I looked it up. Soon afterwards, I had a Kundalini awakening and an intense desire to move back into nature and discovered the Silver Legion. My questions are, is it possible it was a dragon humanoid that I saw? I asked because I was heavily inundated with dragon symbolism nonstop after my experience.
It's possible, but I can't validate other people's dream experiences or the entities that show up in them. There, you know, you got to keep in mind there are many different things out them, and most of them lie to us. So yeah,
Okay.
always be cautious with any entity until you've gotten to know them really well and have validated their information through other means and other sources.
Are Naga and reptilians the same?
Naga, well, it depends on who you ask. The Naga were a reptilian group that interacted with ancient India. And I believe they were the Draco, but I also know that there are things in the astral plane and stuff that are created from the beliefs, and especially the religious beliefs of human beings, that will answer to those, but they are not the originals, right? They're a product of the belief. So it's really hard to say what's what here.
Okay, here's another one for you. Are there any reptilians within the Silver Legion?
Yes, but they do not have any interaction with humans. We have a few who have defected. They are barred from interacting with humans directly because we don't want to have any instances where somebody comes to a human and says, "Hey, I'm with the Silver Legion. I'm a Draco reptilian, but I'm a good guy." No. In order to prevent any possibility or opportunity for somebody to get fooled that way, we have basically barred our reptilian members from interacting in any way with humans. So if somebody comes to you and they're a reptilian and they're claiming to be Silver Legion, you know automatically they are lying.
Okay, good.
And that is the reason why we have that, to make it absolutely clear, right? Nobody's going to be pulling that fast one.
Okay. Are there, wait a minute. Okay, surely you must have been approached by at least one that was intelligent enough to want freedom from AI and archonic parasitic control.
Yes, yes, we have. Like, we do have defectors in the Silver Legion. They do not interact with people, or with humans, I should say, because you can have non-human people. And this is a security thing. This is a requirement that we have put in place to prevent any attempt of the not so friendly ones of claiming that they're us and fooling people.
Okay, how would a being from a typically negative race need to approach you if they desired to break away and become a light warrior?
We have means in place for them to actually approach us. Let's just say where there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, there are opportunities for those who truly wish to defect to come to us, and they find those on their own. We have a rat line, or an underground railroad, I guess you could call it. There are ways for them to find us. It's not impossible.
Okay,
you hid the door. You hid the door off. Well, I can't find it at all.
I have another set of questions, first for Tanaath again, and then for Drake. So here is the one for Tanaath. How is Sunfire and her group, or your group, Tanaath, doing?
I haven't spoken to, we haven't worked with Sunfire in years. I haven't spoken to Sunfire in a long time. Last time I spoke to her, she was, she didn't seem particularly well. I hope that she gets better. I think personally, looking back at what happened in those years, I think that she was the victim of a hijacking attack. Something attempted to interfere with her connection to her own people and substituted something else in place, and neither us nor her people were able to discover what it was. I think in light of disclosures made by Corey Good and David Wilcock a couple of years ago, that the ones who were doing the disrupting were probably inner earthers.
Yep.
And I think that she was a victim of a campaign that struck not only her but many others.
Are those inner earthers? Are they the Agarthans?
Some of them are, like, there are a number of different civilizations down there. It's not all Agartha. Like, everybody thinks of it's like Pleiadians. There's certain groups that everybody thinks of, like Telos and Agartha, but there were about 100 different civilizations down there. Most of them had absolutely nothing to do with humanity or the surface at all. Yeah, others were part of an ongoing and long-running campaign to basically fuck with humans. And they started, one of those groups, or at least some of those groups, started an active campaign in the last decade or two to interfere with incarnates and basically hijack their connections to their own people and take them over and feed them a whole bunch of garbage. And we think that's what happened in the case of Sunfire. And it did quite a bit of harm to her. And if I ever figure out, which people were specifically responsible for that one, I'm going to do some very nasty things to them. Because Sunfire was my friend, and I do not appreciate what was done.
Wow. Okay. Next question on that. On one of your older shows, you said you drew a picture of yourself as a dragon. Do you feel comfortable sharing it with the audience so we can get a glimpse of how your archetype of dragon looks like?
I lost it years ago.
Okay.
And my art skills, art's like any other skill. You don't do it, you lose it. And I haven't done much drawing at all in a long, long time, and I don't think I could draw it very well. But in one of my many moves, it vanished. It was just pencil on a lined paper, and not a particularly good drawing, but I lost it. Sorry.
Oh, well.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. The Earth mythology versions of dragon have a very large variety, ranging from serpents to wyverns.
Wyverns, yeah. Wyverns.
Okay. Tomato. Okay.
Yep.
And even winged snakes, the Quetzalcoatl, to name a few. But anyway, is there anything you can share about the Silver Legion and some of the more recent events?
Okay, that's a bit of a non sequitur. Okay. Yeah, there are many different kinds of dragons. As for what I can share about the Silver Legion, like, first of all, I don't know what this has to do with dragons. Silver Legion is not a dragon organization. Just because there's a dragon leading it doesn't that mean that we're all dragons.
Okay.
We have a lot of dragons, but certainly not all dragons. We actually recruit from all over the multiverse, so all different species and types of people. The qualification is that they have to be of a somewhat heroic archetype, and they have to also desire to join us. So, yeah. There are actually many, many different species of dragons in the Silver Legion, of which I'm just one. So, yeah. As for updates, I can't really give any other than we continue working. And
yeah, well, you see, Hollywood's versions of dragons, you got good dragons, you got bad dragons, who knows, and different.
Yeah, dragons aren't necessarily automatically good either. Like, there are nasty ones out there too, and there are nice ones out there. As with anything, pay attention to how they act, pay attention to how they treat you, pay attention to whether or not they keep their promises and how. Take them as an individual, and don't assume that they're friendly until they've proven it.
Okay. Alrighty then. How do, Drake, this one's for you. How do people off-world solve problems from the personal level to the planetary if it goes beyond their capability?
They don't usually go beyond their capability because the capability is limited to the connection, okay? And the connection is real simple. They give ideas to people that are to be implemented. And as those ideas are implemented, we come closer and closer to where we're supposed to be, not only as human beings, but also as a society, okay?
Okay. People on Earth have never been taught any decent problem-solving skills and have been hit on the head every time they tried to solve problems. Some advice would be nice. I don't know what kind of advice they want, but I don't know if you got any.
Carry a baseball bat and dink them back on the head.
No.
See how they like it. The situation is very simple. There's a lot of things that are going to come out in the near future that will alter the course, the general course of mankind. And those things are, some are extraordinarily obvious, huge in size and all that. Some are just itty bitty little tiny things and a little squeaky in the ear kind of deal. You don't know. And you don't know to what extent each individual is willing to take themselves in order to accomplish the goals of a truly free humanity.
Okay. Are there non-physical entities trying to insert fear or bad thoughts into people's minds? And if so, what's a good way to shield oneself or blast them into pieces?
Yeah, there are. There are entities that do try to commit thought insertions and things like that. You can shield themselves. If you do, you can look up different ways to do grounding and centering, which is the basis of any shielding. Is first start with grounding yourself in Mother Earth and centering yourself and pulling in all your loose bits. Get to know what's you and what's not you and what's imposed on you, and then imagine a shell around yourself that repels things like that. And if you're finding that you're getting a lot of intrusive stuff, you can start repelling it through will and just push it, make that shell, put it up against you or between you and whatever's intruding on you and push back. Be firm about it too. Don't just pussyfoot around a bit.
Okay. Since the last few weeks, the Schumann resonance charts show thin lines of high magnitude and an almost machine-like pattern. What is going on?
I don't know if I'd say machine-like, but I would definitely say that this is if you're seeing a pattern, that's not necessarily a machine. That's also a waveform. Waves can be natural. We're seeing it essentially a collapse of the infrastructure that has been used to keep humanity's consciousness in check. The Schumann resonance is not a booster of human consciousness. It is a throttle of human consciousness. And when you see it go up like that, what you're seeing is humanity starting to break free, and then the Schumann effect kicks in and then throttles us back down. So you're seeing the system start to fall apart.
And just to add to that just a little bit, it's about to change its waveform. When that happens, you can forget the Schumann frequency and what it does.
Yep.
How's that? Elaborate on that a little more.
What do you mean elaborate? I just said
Sky's the limit.
It's going to change its waveform, and when it does, then the Schumann frequency will cease to exist. When that happens, then we won't be oppressed any longer. We will finally be a free people, all about the planet Earth.
Well, that sounds like a good thing then.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about synchronistic events, like people being at the right time in the right place, or thinking about someone or someone else, and then it comes up in the next few minutes or so?
Synchronicity is one of the ways in which the creator of the universe communicates with us. the creator of the universe, like, okay, so people tend to be entrained into this belief of a creator as somebody who like shoves a finger down and actively moves stuff around and slaps you around when you're bad. That's not how it works. The creator is actually barred from interfering with the I guess you could say the day-to-day workings of the universe, barred from that kind of direct action. Instead, what happens is that the creator uses synchronicities, which are basically little, pay attention moments of extreme coincidence where there's something there that you're supposed to take note of and pay attention to. And typically these signals are extremely personal. They are not the kind of thing that what might be a synchronicity for me might not be a synchronicity for you. They're almost always private messages, and they're usually only significant to the person who receives them.
But you should pay attention to them.
Yes,
correct?
pay attention to them, because that usually indicates that you're onto something or onto the right track. And if you're finding you're getting a lot of these, then yeah, learn how to surf them. I compare it to surfing. Strap on your blindfold and grab your surfboard and be prepared to take it as it comes, because you can't control the wave. You can only ride it.
Yeah. And it's better to be on the front of the wave than the crest or behind it.
Exactly.
Much better.
Okay, here's one for you, Drake.
Uh-oh.
Were there any bends in the timeline recently?
Yes. There's been more speed bumps than you know what to do with. The reconfiguring of timelines has got my family working overtime in this, trying to get it all under control and straightened up in terms of the right direction that they have been told to make this thing go. And this thing is all of it. So it's not very little and very few limitations of any kind. And the secondary part of it is that, like I said, when the human frequency craps out, we're finally a free people. We won't get dumbed down and drop back in 3D so much. So a lot of the pain, suffering, and heartaches and horse hockey that goes with all that cease to exist on that basis. Now, you get that extra little boost, man, we're going to all feel like skyrockets. Okay?
So basically what I'm picking up from you is that the Schumann resonance isn't a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing. It is the throttle. No. It is what brings us back every time we rise.
Oh, boy.
And we're getting to the point we're about ready to punch through its ability to throttle us.
All right. Oh, good. That's awesome. That's good news. Okay. What criteria need to be filled to meet the good ETs right now?
Good actions, best of intentions, helping rather than limiting. There's a whole bunch of things that goes into that. One of the things would be to come down and systematically restore the lost life longevity that that was stolen from us, among other things. And I'd like nothing better than to be like I was when I was a teenager, with the better sense that I've got now. I'm not giving hey, quit it. I would rather,
well, but you don't want to lose anything that you've learned along the way. You want to retain that.
Yeah, but you don't understand all the fun and games I was involved with when I was a teenager. Everything that you can think of that was something that probably shouldn't have been done, I did it. Think about that very carefully. I had the police wondering what was up next. Heard them say so on the radio a few times. I mean, it just, the school officials just loved me for gluing all the doors and windows shut. I mean, I found several gallons of contacts.
I think we're going a little off the path here, my dear. Were they asking like what they have to do to meet an alien? Because
basically,
at this point, basically, they got to do is one thing that upstairs continues to tell me is they're not going to do anything that's going to cause this mission to fail.
Yes.
So the reason that we have not seen them yet and met them yet is because in doing so, it would guarantee their own failure. and the failure of this mission. So hold tight, do what you can to do your part of the job, do your part of why you're here, and don't worry about that. It will come about along with everything else. It is an aggregate effort, not down to individual events like that, right?
Well, shucks, I was hoping to be able to still shoot rubber bands in class.
Well, you might still have a chance to do that.
All right,
Well,
good.
Well, I guess they're very interested in the ETs because it goes on to ask, how will ET introduce themselves to Earth's people and who will be revealed first? And
Okay,
will there be
people still
space police and so on?
people
How
still talk
do-
about stuff as though plans are the future. Understand that everything is plans, and plans change depending on the situation and the circumstance. At this point, there's way too much fluctuation to say how.
Yeah, we have a lot going on right now.
Yeah, it all depends.
Okay, let's see. Oh, then another question is, William Barr compromised or using bribes?
Good question. I don't know what he's up to. I'd like to see a lot more action, but I don't know that it's time for that. And who's calling the actual shots? We'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to call, but I can see why people are growing impatient to see something happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of Kim Guggen? I think that's how you say her name.
Yeah.
Guggen. Who is she and why is she in charge of monies to be given out, and who gave her that authority and why? Do you know that? If you know, that's okay.
Yeah. You have a combination of meetings of heads getting together to decide such things. Then you have the other fun and games where Trump goes along with it or agrees. And in terms of handing it out, she's not shown that she's capable of performing those duties. So it may be someone else by the time everything gets to where it needs to be.
It seemed like she had a pretty impressive explanation of how the financial system works. I saw.
Yeah,
I
well,
saw
that's
one of her
just it.
videos.
The problem is that these people kowtow to the financial system.
Yeah, I
need
was
to
about to
trash
say
that from where it
anybody
started.
who's
I'm
approaching
sorry.
from the standpoint of, that
Money.
we need to pay off student loans. No, the debt system needs to be destroyed entirely.
Completely.
Yeah, like she doesn't have a lot of credibility with me if she's still acting as if the game is real. You know?
Okay.
Just another
There's some-
person who wants to be the millionaire to line their own pocket without taking down the whole system. No, that's not how this is going down.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a weird question. What is the mission of non-cabal people with RH negative blood?
I'm going to tell you that RH negative blood ain't got squat to do with it. It's up to the individual to make the determination. Tath?
Nobody gives you your mission. You give you your mission. So
yeah.
you need to connect with your own self inside through your heart or through your core.
Well, people got this,
And figure it out.
negative attitude about anybody that has RH negative, which I don't think.
You know
Well,
what? Some
uncorrect
people
to
have been
begin with.
tampered with, some people haven't. Everybody's been tampered with to some degree, right?
And some people just plain need to be unplugged.
But I don't think that has anything to do with RH negative blood.
No, I don't
mean,
either.
you are not determined by your blood type. You're
Thank
a
you.
conscious being. Take control of yourself.
That's scary.
It is.
Okay, guys, I think we're coming up on about time.
Time
We're going to have to
limitation?
close.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
or we can keep going for a little longer if you want. It's up to you guys.
Tath, you call it.
Well, I don't have to start dinner yet for at least another half an hour, so.
Okay, well, we can keep going then because I have some more questions. And this one is
Okay.
about Elon Musk.
Oh,
Um,
boy.
and he's put up thousands of satellites up in the air around Earth. Who gave him that permission?
U.S. government.
And why did they give him that permission?
Before he shot him off into space, but I think he ought to be riding along on one of them.
Riding
I
I
don't
don't
along.
have
have
much
any
use for
special
the guy.
knowledge about Elon Musk.
Well, he's put a lot of space junk up there, that's for sure.
There you go. Now you're stinking with gas.
How come? Okay, so the government gave him permission to put up as many as he wanted, no matter if,
That basically, yeah.
they're going to
What
be
he did was
colliding.
he combined about 5 or 6 different kinds of satellites that do different things. It made the government more compliant when they found out that he actually included some military satellite capabilities in some of them, and things that would help the government and all that. So you're getting permission by I don't know. Compliance. Oh, look at all my compliances. They're flying around up there. Ain't that neat?
I don't like it. I call it space junk. And it's capable of firing 5. I'm not supposed to say that word either, but you know what I'm talking about, 60 hertz.
He did not put anything up there that can shoot anything from what I got.
Well, I don't mean like shoot in the term. I mean like generated beams for getting on the internet.
Nope,
You know,
nope,
the
nope.
Internet of Things and all that kind of stuff.
He's got some good people, but they ain't that good.
Oh, okay.
If they did something like that, all of a sudden you'd start seeing these little poofs, and the satellites would disappear in a big puff of electrical energy and parts and all that.
Okay, somebody says they keep seeing pictures of a large round planet or disk near the sun, and then also the moon. Is that
Yeah, those are biospheres.
the biospheres?
They're
Okay.
biospheres.
What are
And
they
nobody
there
can prove they're real.
for? Why are they there?
Why are they there? There's a couple hundred biospheres in the system. I don't know which in particular biospheres this person has cited, but they are basically planet-sized ships, and people use them for different reasons. There's one up there that's kind of like a hospital ship that's
just
being
what I was
used.
just going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah, there's one that's a hospital ship that's being used where when we find humans and descendants of Terrans who've been abducted into space, when they're rescued, they're taken to the hospital ship so that they can adjust to be free and learn how to be no longer under control all the time, and also so that they can heal from the trauma, because it's a very traumatic thing. And that's also where we take people who get scooped. Some of these people who are thought to have committed suicide or to have died did not actually experience death. Instead, they were swapped for a biodoll at the last moment. And because the Matrix has to record a death.
Wow.
The Matrix records that the death has happened. But that person never ceased consciousness, never experienced the death. Instead, they were swapped out at the last moment, and a replicated body was substituted, one that is identical in all ways, but has never been actually alive. It's basically a biodoll, is what we call them. A replicated body is swapped in at the last moment, so the Matrix gets its death, but that person didn't die. Unfortunately, if you're recorded as dead by the Matrix, you can't come back until the Matrix is taken down. But they're up there, and they're learning the truth about what's been going on and preparing basically to be emissaries.
Wow.
When the time comes.
That's interesting.
That's just one of the biospheres. There's others up there. We have one in system, which is our kind of our forward base, and we use it. It's a combination battleship, transport, and our forward mobile base. And it's actually it's named the Can of Whoop Ass. Yeah, we have contests within the Silver Legion to name all of our capital ships, and we usually go in for goofy stuff. It's There's a few others, but that's the one that we concentrate on in system. And like I said, there's a few hundred of these, so it's not just us who has bases up there and biospheres up there. Other people do too.
Okay. Good people?
Some of them are friendly, some of them aren't. Right?
Okay. Always that dualistic aspect, isn't there?
Well, yeah, you can't just blanket say, is everybody up there good? I mean, can you blanket say, is everybody in Boston good, right? Like,
Oh, unfortunately, yeah. Okay. Here's this is question. This is but it's partly because it's old. The Hunter Biden was spilling the beans supposedly, and they say this is just rumor, okay, that Joe was given a deal to step down from the race. Obviously, he didn't. And he was supposed to turn over his Swiss accounts, but anyway, without any prosecution. So what happened to no deals? And what about his pedo stuff? Is there anything to any of this, or is this all BS?
I have to watch and see what the authorities do.
I don't have any special knowledge about this.
I heard that Hunter was singing like a canary. So
Yeah, I heard that too. All right. Yeah. Okay.
If he is, Big Joe's in trouble.
I bet. Okay, let's see what else I got here. Okay. Okay. This is funny. My car has over 100,000 miles and I want a newer one, but I'm on a limited budget. Mine does too, for that matter. Mine's got 159, almost 2,000. But anyway, is there really a chance of debt forgiveness that might zero out my payment if I would upgrade a bit?
It's coming.
I can't give financial advice. Make your financial decisions as though nothing's going to change, because you don't know when or how or what form it's going to take. And it's irresponsible to advise people to make decisions based on maybes.
Okay. Do we need to be concerned about dark winter? Now, I did 2 shows on that, roundtable
No.
part 1 and part 2. And there was, they're killing a bunch of mink in Denmark.
Denmark, yeah.
And that was believed to be because of some bait that was dropped that was dropped worldwide, by the way. It wasn't just in the United States. And the concern was that if a human touched it, they would get a pox. And there were people in Alaska that had their smallpox thing erupting and oozing and things of that nature. And the big concern was the increase of animal and to human transmission. And that was something that they thought he could be referring to. And, we'll see if they start trying to do lockdowns and all that other kind of stuff. But the original Dark Winter was about giving smallpox to the entire planet in one way or another. But I don't think they'll be successful, like Drake says.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be successful.
It was, a nice thought for them to accomplish their
certain things are not permitted.
Yeah. Okay. Where is Nancy Pelosi?
She was driving a Hammer home last I seen her.
Okay.
I mean, where is she in what respect? That's the
They
question.
they didn't elaborate. They just asked, where is Nancy Pelosi? And
until the question gets a little more definitive, it's hard to give some kind of intelligent answer. So I say she's banging the hammer.
Okay. Well, there's information out there that probably confuses people because they say that, certain people are in Gitmo already and there are just clones out there or lookalikes or what have you. So that's probably what is based.
There are a large load of Democrats looking to get rid of Pelosi. They don't like the way she does business. That may be what they're talking about. We'll
That
see.
could be too, because she does it for herself. Okay. Is Hunter Biden divulging family secrets?
The last I heard, he was singing like a canary. So you tell me. You sound to me like depends on what the words contain in terms of the singing he's doing.
Okay.
Oh, Big Joe did this, so he did, or whatever it may be.
I got all the money and then I gave it to my dad so he could say that he didn't do it and I did it.
Well, I didn't give it all to my dad, just some of it.
Yeah. I'm just
The rest he
being
spent on
facetious.
hookers and coke.
Yeah, exactly. Very young ones.
You
Yeah.
take one of them little vials and hold it out there and shake it in front of him and see how badly he drools before he decides to talk.
Oh boy, these people, I swear. Why do we need to be prepared for several months of chaos, and from whom?
Well, that would be the radical Marxist democratic idiots that would like doing riots and killing people and causing problems. That would be where or the source of this thing. Now that don't leave the Republican love childs like the alley boys and all them other people. They probably would enjoy that. They like cracking skulls and so you're liable to have some kind of a mutual destructive process and problem with both of them. That's where it's supposed to come from. As soon as Biden started having troubles, rioted again.
Yeah.
Tell me.
And what about these mayors and governors that allow it to happen? Are they going to be held accountable?
Well, you got to remember something. It doesn't matter if you're a dog catcher. When you go into public service, you take an oath, period. You violate that oath, that's subject not only for removal, and if it is a very intentionally serious violation, you can go to jail. And believe me, you don't want to go to jail under violation of your oath of service. Ooh.
We need to get a copy of that exact oath sometime. That would be
I
interesting.
can send you a copy. I probably got one on the computer.
Well, okay, please send me one then. But don't tell me you're
Alright.
going to and then not do it. So make sure you make a note to yourself.
I've been trying to send you this little goodie here.
Well, I haven't
for
gotten
a
it.
couple of weeks.
I haven't gotten
I
it.
don't know what their deal is. I have to get them to get off the pot or something.
Okay. Will there be blackouts of electricity?
Not supposed to be. Now, here's the thing about basic needs and services. We have people that can operate generation stations such as electricity. We have people that can operate water treatment service plants, water delivery systems, food delivery, all of that. People are standing by. These are people that know how to do it, and they'll be given whatever help they need. So it might be a few minutes at the most, would be my suggestion.
Okay.
That's from people I've heard in terms of logistics and planning if there's a real serious problem.
Okay. I've heard they've had a few blackouts in California, but they didn't last that long.
That's the
There have
car
been
coming
some,
turning it off.
There have been some
Go ahead.
very interesting outages in terms of internet lately. You might want to
Yes.
download Down Detector and keep an eye on it.
I never heard of that. Down Detector.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, there were widespread outages over most of the major sites of the internet all at the same time in a very interesting little spike. Like, we're talking Google, Amazon, everything, right?
All those nefarious corporations.
Yeah, I was watching that with a great deal of interest.
Oh.
Okay. If surgery is not life-threatening, should it all be healed by the year end?
I hate putting times on things
I know.
because, yeah,
Everybody was.
don't ask
exactly what I was gonna
questions
say.
about times because we're in the middle of a war.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, because we are. It's not a declared
Well,
war, but we are in.
In a war? I'm gonna have to get some hand grenades.
You like to blow things up, don't you?
Oh yeah, I just love it.
Okay.
I would say don't make any. Don't make
It
any
fixed my
plans
flat
that
belt.
rely on the world changing.
Yeah.
Always plan as though things are going to continue the way they are.
Yeah.
Then I got to get me some hand grenades for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if it does so happen that your surgery becomes unnecessary before the end of that year, well, or before the end of this year, then bonus. I had my thyroid removed 5 years ago. If I had waited, I'd be dead now.
Okay.
Okay.
Other than, well, you know, anything that wasn't absolutely necessary, they stopped it from happening because of this COVID crap.
Whoa.
Rona.
Gotta have
I
a
meant to say
scapegoat.
Rona. I hope my they don't pick up
Hey,
on that.
think about how nice COVID C-19 is. This is the greatest blame game in the world. And guess what? C-19 don't talk back.
You know what's funny is anything and everything is blamed on that right now. If your
Yeah.
mail's late, or if somebody, you know, you can't get something at the store or whatever, you know, whatever it is, it's all because of you know what.
Yeah.
The Rona.
The Rona. Okay, other than food, shelter, and ammo, what is the most important to have during the next 6 months? I'm going to say
Water.
Yeah,
Water.
water's more important
Water.
than
All of
food.
those,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Water is
make
critical.
sure you have both.
Mhm. In other words, stored water or access to water. It's pretty hard to store
Either,
a lot of
you
water
know,
because
yeah,
it's heavy.
it
Either
is.
one,
I
as
would
long as
say
you got
access
some
to water
available.
and the ability to purify it. I've still got a
Yes.
Berkey from 2000 when we had the floods in Calgary. I was living down there, right? And so I still got a Berkey, and it still works great.
I got a Berkey
Cool.
too, and they do work great, and they last a long
Takes
time.
out
Wow.
microplastics too.
Yeah.
Anything larger than larger than 2 microns don't go through.
Yeah, basically
That's
anything
pretty
larger
good.
than a calcium ion.
I don't know if that's 2 microns or not.
I don't know.
I don't
Calcium
either.
ions go through because we got lots of calcium in our water, and the Berkey does not take it out. So,
Okay.
There seems to be
but
quite a
apparently
bit in
that's
the water that they have here where I'm at too. And yeah, calcium carbonate is not good for you either if you get a whole bunch of it.
well, it's not bad for you. I mean, it's better to
It's not good
have
for you.
water with some ions in it. Like you shouldn't actually have completely distilled water because it disrupts your cellular
Well, that's a lot of
electrolyte balance.
there's a well, I can appreciate what you're saying, but there's a lot of controversy on that fact because some people say, well, it's going to pull calcium from your bones. No, it's not.
I'd rather have
it's some of the-
calcium than fluoride.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's for
I
sure.
mean, and by the way, Berkeys do remove fluoride.
I think you have to get
Ye-
a different filter for that.
You
don't
have
you?
to get an
I got
extra
those
filter.
filters.
Yes, you do. I got the extra ones too.
I
There's
can't
2
afford
more.
because that only works for like 2 or 3 months. I can't afford it. However,
Oh.
I heard that they are not currently not fluoridating where I am, so that's
That's
good news.
nice.
A lot of
I
people
was
have quit
told they
that.
didn't hear either, but I don't know if I believe them or not. Anyway, if Trump declares martial law, does he lose power to the Supreme Court or Congress?
Say that again.
That doesn't even make sense. If Trump declares martial law, does he lose power to the Supreme Court or Congress?
No, that's a military action. As Supreme Commander, Chief Commander, or whatever you want to call it, he says what goes.
Aren't we under soft martial law already?
Pretty
Doesn't
much.
matter.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard.
If
Okay.
if he declares martial law, he's in charge. Period.
Okay, here's another question for you, Tanaath. This one.
Mhm.
What is your take on Alex Collier and his connection to the Andromedans?
I think we spoke about that years and years ago. He did appear to have genuine experiences with that. I'm not too sure I trust the Andromedans any further than I can throw them. They don't seem to have taken very good care of him. I gotta say that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true from what I've heard. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it happens.
Okay. Is there something special about the human race, and what does the creator envision as humanity's most ideal path moving into the future?
Well, the creator doesn't go around envisioning paths for things. That's the job of the things themselves. As for, is there something special about humanity? There's a number of different claims regarding that. I'm not too sure whether or not any of them are true. I would say that what appears to be true is that a large number of the people on this planet don't originate from here and are actually higher dimensional entities that have been entrapped and imprisoned, and
That's lame.
prison would allow them to be free. There is some importance about Earth itself in that it occupies this particular position in the fractal of this universe and beyond, such that what happens here may dictate to the rest of the multiverse what is and is not possible, which means that we really do not want to see the Cabal or anyone else who likes to get their jollies off of hurting other people and enslaving them and forcing them to do dirty, rotten shit. We don't want to see them reign, because not only are they hurting us, but they will ultimately be hurting themselves, because as they do, so are they done to. This is why you got to be careful what you put out right now. As you do, so are you done to. So you aren't ever gonna see it where you are the
special.
Yeah, you ain't ever gonna see it where you are the one who gets to dominate. If you take part in the domination game, you will be the one who is dominated.
Is that
So
I'd just be happy to be in charge of my own bladder in the middle of the night.
yeah, yeah. It is a loser's game to attempt to put that out, especially now, and they don't quite realize that. As for humanity itself, it'll remain to be seen.
Okay. In your spirit travels, have you visited any cities in the inner Earth or the moon?
Yep. Moon, not so
Yep.
much. Moon's mostly bases, less cities. Inner Earth, yeah.
You were on a mission down there, weren't you?
Uh-huh.
Taking some of the bad guys out?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went further to ask, can you describe the culture or technology? It probably depends which race you're dealing with.
Technology, no. I don't really have that kind of granularity of data. Cultures depends on whom. Like I said, there was about 100 different people or different groups down there. They all have different cultures.
Who's doing what to whom?
Okay, this is interesting. Okay, what will you miss most about living on 3D Earth? Either one.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, nothing. Okay. This talks about how I had an interview with someone named Sean Bond. Do you see people learning his psychic healing techniques in the future? You might not know if you didn't see his.
No, I haven't watched the interview, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that, like, once the control system comes down, there become a lot of opportunities for people to learn and do a lot of different things.
Will that include people's DNA being repaired, or the junk DNA being put back together?
Well, I would expect that at some point it would have to be. How that will occur, whether that's something that, initiative that requires action, or whether that's something that happens as a consequence of the quantum collapse, I don't know.
Well, some have said that abilities are strictly genetic.
That what are strictly genetic?
abilities, certain abilities,
Abilities.
psionic abilities.
Um,
And you have to have them in order to be able to do some of the things that some people do. And
I know in my case, my psionic abilities were linked to heredity. That's part of the reason why I chose this particular family to incarnate into,
Mhm.
because it had a certain cluster of abilities that I would need for this mission. But I think after, think of it this way. If you spent all of your life on a planet where the gravity was 300 times what it is here, and you could jump 6 inches off the ground, and everybody else could jump 2 inches off the ground. Imagine if all of a sudden the gravity in that world was turned Earth gravity. The people who are jumping 6 inches off the ground and the people who are jumping 2 inches off the ground are still firing off in outer space, right?
Right.
Once the limiters come off, a lot more becomes possible for everyone.
Okay.
That sounds like trying to be careful about Superman when he farts.
Yeah. It's going to take some adjusting.
Okay. So right now, then what you're saying, if I'm understanding you correctly, is there maybe that's why some people.
Yeah, everybody
who
has
have more-
some to some degree.
Mhm.
It's a degree. It's a matter of magnitude, and at some point the limiters come off, and then the sky's the limit. Then even if you are somebody with a low magnitude, if you're somebody with a low magnitude stuff, when the limiters come off, you're up there with the other high magnitude ones, right?
Yeah, that's good. That sounds good. Okay, here's another question then. There have been many cults and secret societies that have controlled things on our planet for centuries. They have a tradition of using torture, mind control, depraved acts, and dark magic in the rituals. Were these cults created by malevolent ET groups like the Draconians in order to control the population by creating societies that generate more loosh?
That's part of it, yes. Not just the Draco, but there were other groups. The Draco, everybody fixates on them.
Yeah,
It's like
why is that?
fixating. The reason why is because it's a pyramid, and you fixate on the bricks right above you, and you don't see the bricks above them. The Draco are in turn controlled by others, and the shape of the pyramid, the structure of it, is that it uses compartmentalization. So a lot of the times the other bricks don't even know where they are in relationship to each other, except for those who are immediately above and below them.
Wow. Well, who controls the Dracos?
Who controls the Draco? It's an avian group.
No, really?
The ones that pull their strings are an avian group. And who controls them, I'm not too sure. At that point, that knowledge is not particularly useful to me here, so I don't.
That wouldn't be the blue avians, would it?
I don't know if it's the Tengru. I don't know
Okay.
if it's them or a different group. I do know that the blue avians were extremely rude to me. I went to try
bad things about them.
I went to try to talk to them, introduce myself, see what's what, and they were very obsequious to my face. And then as soon as I tried to sleep, they tried to forcibly rip me out of my body, and I didn't really like that. Didn't really appreciate that. So.
They don't sound very nice. That's what I heard about them. I heard they weren't very nice. Anyway, history has often been written to whitewash and skew major events. Did Hitler really want peace and prosperity for the people? Battling the deep state just like we are today. It seemed like everyone loved him, but at some point he was manipulated into taking a darker path. Also, Hitler pleaded for peace, but the alliance went on to starve out the German towns and prisons and destroy Dresden, etc. Did Hitler get a fair shake by historians in your view?
I don't have the truth on that. All I know is that he was bloodlines. Anyone pretending otherwise is an idiot.
Okay.
It's common that they own both sides of the conflict.
Okay, that's so typical, isn't it? All right. How are we doing on time? Well, we're getting close now.
We're over the limit.
Okay. Well, this next question that I opened up is a big long read, so we'll bypass that for another time. So, in closing remarks, Tanaath, do you have anything you'd like to say? And then you, Drake.
Just the usual, and that is watch
That's-
out what you're attaching your insides to. Don't panic, don't fear, don't go for all the fear porn and outrage fodder and all of that crap. Stay rooted in yourself and stay rooted in try to be as serene as you can and unpanicked by the chaos around you, because things are going to get crazy. And
Ooh.
if you allow yourself to be stampeded, you're going to end up in a bad situation. So be the calm at the center of the storm. It's really important. Really important.
Okay. How about you, Drake? What do you have to say? Anything else? Or anything you want to add?
My show's name was The Fix Is In, mostly.
Mhm.
Large number of people are now members of the weight club. You get to wait to see what happens, you know.
Oh, it seems like we're always on the weight club.
Hold on a minute. And then there is the joke of 2 weeks. I used to say it's 2 weeks all the time. Followed by too much talking and not enough action from an Elvis song. We all need to get our stuff together so that we don't end up crapping in our own mess kit. That is not a good idea. It makes the food taste funny, among other things. So I suggest everybody look at the golden rule. And I ain't talking about the one out on the street, not do unto others before they do unto you. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In other words, let's bridge the gap. Let's not accept the idea of political parties or any other such horse hockey that's man-made and somebody thought up during a bad dream. Let's get it real. If you want a good laugh and you want the truth, go look at some of them old George Carlin videos. He don't mix words. He tells it like it is. Some of it ain't nice. Well, get over yourself. It ain't all about us or me. It's about everybody else. How about that?
Very good. Very good. And I would just say and add to that is random acts of kindness can do wonders for just about anyone. And sometimes
Drake, you're echoing.
Pardon?
Do what?
Drake's echoing really bad.
Yeah, what happened?
I am not. Am I echoing now?
I don't know.
I don't know, Gail. Try.
I guess it just
Oh,
depends.
that's fixed.
Okay, you fixed it. Apparently you fixed it. And I was just talking about random acts of kindness and you know, staying centered and grounded. Very important now.
9 times out of 10, it is not a handout. It's a hand up to help that little old lady make it over the curb or, you know, that sort of thing. Make sure if you get extra and you can afford it, think about a Thanksgiving turkey for somebody. $20. What do you spend? 100. Make 5 families a day. I mean, you know, people that don't have something, see if you can help them with it.
There's a lot.
And then, you know, but the thing about it is, a lot of people look at this as charity. No, 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 no. I tell you what you do. You come on over when it gets warmed up and you can wash the car and we're even, you know, or whatever. Have fun with
Do
it.
something without expecting something in return.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that kind of wraps up our show for today. And I want to thank our audience for listening and thank Drake. And thank you so much, Tanaath. Everybody enjoys having you on as well. And they miss you, Drake, when we don't get to do a show. But you have to understand we all have lives to live and we have to do what we have to do. And it's all good.
Well, cool. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Now I'm hearing myself twice, so that's interesting. Hello, everyone. This is Gail of Gaia. I'm the founder and producer of Free Range. I do my best to bring you the best in guests and information that's very relevant to you today. I'm making this short little clip today in order to ask you to please contribute to the channel. I'm not monetized by YouTube, I don't sell any products, and I don't have Patreon. So I depend upon your contributions. And I know everyone's having a tough time, but even a small amount from a number of people would help tremendously. So thank you, please contribute. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do need your help. Thank you.